Welcome to Speaking Cinema, Serious Movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast, coming to you live from inside our little cave in the hills of Hollywood, California. Dinner is almost ready. We're eating Greg tonight.
Greg was just looking juicy.
Speaking of juicy, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Speaking Cinema. I am your host, Deputy Sheriff Jibber Jabber. With me today, as always, bone in his nose, love in his heart, Kevin.
That's me.
Speaking Cinema, it's a podcast where we talk about a movie before and after seeing it. For a contextual conversation, we put the passion in the airwaves. This week,
Lord knows we need more passion out there.
and we provide it.
Just need some love.
This is Passion Headquarters.
Yes.
This week on the Jibber Jabber, may the Lord have mercy and grant you a swift death. 2015's Bone Tomahawk.
What a tagline.
What
Good one.
a fucking
I had to
tagline.
dig to find that one. It was on like a teaser poster.
Oh shit!
Because all the other ones were just like there's a Bone Tomahawk, and then there was like the sheriff and the deputy, and it didn't have an official tagline, but I found that one, and I was like, that's good.
When you're looking at posters searching for taglines, that's when I know that I'm very frustrated with writing this episode. Bone Tomahawk, starring Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, Richard Jenkins, Lily Simmons, Fred Melmid, David Arquette, and Sid Haig.
The great Sid Haig.
Written and directed by S. Craig Zeller, produced by Caliber Media, and distributed by RLJ Entertainment. If you're not familiar, a band of cannibalistic troglodytes kidnap a woman from a small western town. A ragtag group of cowpokes set out to the countryside to rescue her, keeping it clean.
I think cannibalistic troglodytes are playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go tonight.
I've heard of them.
Their second album's good.
Yeah. The first album, they were really figuring out their sound. Also recorded off of a...
thin drum sound.
Yeah,
Thin drum
it was a... they tried to do the Beatles style where they put the mic in the middle of the garage and record it.
Yep.
But it was a iPod mic, into an old iPod. So there were syncing issues from day one. Directorial debut of Zeller, who is best known as a novelist. Kev, you read any of those novels?
Nope.
Nope, me neither.
Never read them.
He also plays drum in the heavy metal bands Realm Builder?
Realm Builder.
I believe it's Realm Builder.
That's how you spell realm. Not real.
Real M Builder. And Charnel Valley. Have you heard of these bands?
Nope.
Me neither.
This guy is off my radar.
Indeed. Non-entity. But perhaps should be an entity.
Maybe?
We'll find out. I'm going to fire up the Spotify and listen to this music right now. Made on a budget of $1.8 million, the film was shot in Southern California in 21 days. It is said that the final version of this film represents the first draft of the script. Not only do I not know what that means,
So,
we'll see how it goes.
this dude just wrote it down and said, this is the script.
Okay, so...
Didn't, go back and edit it, didn't...
So my question is it the first draft that people saw, or was it the first draft that ever existed? Because I believe it could be the first draft people ever saw, but I could not believe that he, in a fever dream, just wrote this all out and then just here, let's make this.
That's how Stephen King made Cujo.
Well, we'll see.
Cujo.
Okay, well then we'll just see if this movie lives up to Cujo. The film was released in critical acclaim, made Zeller a hot commodity in Hollywood, multiple scripts in development. As of 2015, Zeller told Creative Screenwriting Magazine, which I believe is the magazine.
Yep.
Creative Screenwriting. Quote, I've had maybe a minimum of 21 different screenplays optioned or sold. Not one of them was made in Hollywood. I had one made by a French company in Belgium, but the other 20 or more, some of those have been optioned multiple times. I had a television series at FX that went to Starz, that went to AMC. None of it has been made.
Welcome to the life of a writer in Hollywood.
So, this is the first for him. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
As of this recording, Bone Tomahawk, Blu-ray, DVD, and streaming on Amazon Prime, which is how I'm going to watch it. Because I got that sweet Prime shipping, I got that less sweet Prime music, and I'm going to get this movie on Prime.
Yep, there's some, their selection is building up, that's for sure.
Yes. Now, Does Netflix offer me free shipping on like Etsy to compete?
No, it does not.
Okay. Kev, have you seen this movie? Have you heard of it?
Heard of it? Wanted to see it during the theatrical run. Just didn't get around to it.
Very limited.
Very
theatrical run.
limited. It was, I think it was at the Landmark for like a week.
Right,
and
and
it was gone.
May have had a screening at a
It was probably at the
festival.
Yeah.
Maybe the Cinefamily.
But yeah, just very spotty screens and just never got around to it.
Our very own me, Mr. Jibber Jabber, picked this movie. Why?
Why did you pick this movie?
I believe on our 2015 Hoedown, I said I want to watch Bone Tomahawk.
Yep, a movie that we had both missed and regretted so.
And season 8, we're picking whatever we want. So I was like, 1 + 1 = 2 here. So let's just watch this movie for here. I was following you on this festival buzz. I like the idea of it. Doug Benson, of all people, hyped it on his many platforms. So I was just like,
All right.
let's give it a shot. And this film combines horror and Western elements. Kev, do you like horror?
Yes.
Do you like Western?
As much as you, no, but I do like horror.
See, that's a weird thing, because I'm like, I listen to podcasts and read articles about horror, and I'm like, oh, I don't like horror as much as these guys. But I feel like in our circle, I'm like...
You're the horror dude.
Yeah. Me and Crystal are like the horror people.
Yep. That's your guys'
But
game.
like, I never drew Jason when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't... I don't know.
You go out of your way to watch horror movies.
So I would agree with that, and I would also go as far to say is that horror and westerns, two good flavors that I would say go well together. Do you think they go well together? Are they peanut butter and chocolate, or cotton candy and whiskey? Follow-up question: do cotton candy and whiskey not mix?
To paraphrase the great comedian David Tell, it tastes like you're fucking a clown. So,
And that's a bad thing.
no, I mean, I'm not going to judge anybody.
We'll save that for the after dark.
Exactly.
Would you make love to a clown?
Do it for the story.
Okay.
Do it for the story.
Doing it for the lulz.
Certainly two flavors that I think have potential to go together, but we've never really seen it go together yet. So this is going to be a first. And if anybody knows a horror western out there that we don't know about, then by all means, send it our way.
Well, there's The Burrowers from 2008, Curse of the Undead from 1959, Ravenous from 1999.
Oh, Ravenous is terrible.
That
movie's not really a western, though.
Yeah, it's in the Wild West.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was in, like, England or
No,
something.
no.
Or, all right.
Billy the Kid versus Dracula, 1966. Wow, what a concept.
I have seen Jesse James Meets Frankenstein.
Yep, that was the next one right here. That was the next one right
Saw
here.
that at the world's worst film festival in Spokane.
That's what it's called?
It was kind of, it wasn't like an annual thing, but every now and then this film club would just find terrible movies and just screen them, and that was one of them.
Wow.
Jesse James Meets Frankenstein.
Wow.
And it was very bad.
Gallow Walkers, 2012. Curse of the Undead, 1959. They're arguing. Oh, Tremors 5 was a. No, that doesn't really count.
Tremors 4.
Oh,
is
4.
Middle West, yeah. 5 is in Africa.
Yeah. There's some stuff.
All
Near
right.
Near Dark, people argue is one. Near Dark.
Yeah, that's Catherine Bigelow, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, also 1974's A Knife for the Ladies.
Ooh. I think you could say John Carpenter's Vampires is a bit of a horror western.
Sure.
I mean, a modern day western, but a western.
I'll agree to that, having not seen it.
James Woods, man.
James Woods.
Just churning it out.
Hiding out in James Woods. So recently, Kev, you know this, but I'll share with our listeners. I went on a cruise to Alaska. Mm-hmm. I'd recommend this cruise for anyone. It was amazing. Went to Skagway, which was a gold mining town. Not that it's commonly associated with the Wild West, but basically, Alaska's the Wild West. And in some ways, it's
the last frontier.
Right. In some ways, it's the wildest of West because it's so remote.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Western genre, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, pre-civil rights, it's a tale of American adventure, right? A little bit devoid from the reality of the situation. It's like those savage Indians, and their savage ways means that we gotta teach them the meaning of manifest destiny. We gotta figure it all out. That's our gold in them mountains. John Wayne!
And John Wayne's gonna do it, and then once shooting's done, he's gotta go to his house in Orange County, But John Wayne's a man's man,
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you.
He's not going back to the OC. He's going to Palm Springs. So, but when you look at the reality of the Wild West, I would say tracks more like a horror movie, not necessarily like a ghost story necessarily, but perhaps like a more like The Grey.
A survival horror thing.
Because so in Skagway, they were like, to get to Skagway, you had to like, it was before boats and trains were like a thing up there.
Yeah.
So you had to. They made the people. There was a law that you had to have like not like a law, but it was like a law. You had to have like 1,000 pounds worth of gear, because they wanted you to make it. Like because people were just dying on the trail. So you had to carry it all across the mountain. So you had to do like 40 trips and take it all across the mountain. Once you got across the mountain, then you had to ford a river, but you can only do that in the summertime. So by the time you get to the fucking mining area, you're already out of supplies.
Yeah. And you're beaten, battered, and scarred, and probably near death.
And it's like something like almost like 100. I think it was like 100,000 or some tens of thousands of people went.
Uh-huh.
And of those, whatever, like 200 or some. So it's basically 10,000 people went and 14 people got rich.
Wow.
And one of them was Levi Strauss. One of them was Donald Trump's ancestors.
Uh-huh.
One of them was Nordstrom.
Wow.
So it's like, it's a place where a lot of people went to die. And to, and it's also like, when you think about it, it's like, our concept of Wild West is influenced by the media's concept of Wild West. And the media being both film and TV and also the history books, right? It's like, it's the Wild West, It's like, you don't say it's the Wild West. It's the Wild West.
Yeah.
Who, in their right fucking mind, would be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go to a place with literally no civilization, ragtag government.
Yep. Next to no law.
Next to no law. Like, I'm not saying bad people went there, but it would attract a certain unsavory element, right?
Yep.
I'm sure good people went there with good causes in their hearts, but a lot of...
We just gonna make the farm work.
Yeah, but a lot of bad people went there, and a lot of people went there to start over and all these kinds of things. So it's like, it's literally lawless. It's literally a get-rich-quick scheme, and, I'm not sure if anything in this world currently exists like that now. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
not really.
And so I just think that it tracks more like a horror story. Also, they're telling us the story of Skagway and all the prostitutes. It was fucked up.
Everybody in Skagway probably had Skagway on every part of their body.
Yeah, they did. So, they said that Skagway... some author came there, and he's like, the din of piano music... When the din of piano music dies down between songs, you are treated to another song consisting of people in the street, laying in the street, screaming for help before the next song starts back up. So it's like, it's a fucked up place,
Dude, Western writing, that kind of shit is everywhere and throughout the history of writing about the West, and it's great.
Yeah. So, I just think that the more reality of it is horror. Speaking of the greatest movie star who ever lived, why is that Kurt Russell?
It's his mustache. That mustache. He got 2 movies out of this mustache.
Oh, because
Hateful Eight.
Also in the Hateful Eight.
Yep. I mean, when you grow a mustache that majestic and that grand, you can't only grant the world 1 movie. You gotta do 2.
He's also just like in a lot of stuff that's just a lot of fun.
He never got too serious, If you listen to him and John Carpenter on their commentaries, they're just sound like 2 old boys watching a movie, And he's a good guy. He's got some right-wing craziness.
Oh, does he?
A little bit.
Come on.
Not on a crazy. Not on Scott Stapp, I'm an agent of the CIA, hunting Obama level, but every now and then he'll say something.
Does Obama need to be hunted? We know where he is.
Scott Stapp apparently doesn't. So. He's got tendencies, but he's not, He knows.
He's a libertarian, but he lives in Vancouver.
Jeez.
He's also a gun enthusiast and a pilot enthusiast.
He's kind of an old school Republican, it sounds like, who are now pretty much the libertarians.
But even then, but
they're getting a little crazy too.
Yeah, so it's like you turn around, they're gonna be something else.
But
Colombians.
he does seem like he's a good guy, blue collar, down home, kind of just knows when to have fun with the movie. He's in the next Fast and Furious movie, so like he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yeah, he also seems like a guy that on a press tour, he seems like he's having fun. A lot of people do this. Dwayne The Rock Johnson does it. Kevin Hart does it. They seem the guys that when you see them, you could tell that they're on, but it feels genuine. You know, and it might not be genuine, but it feels genuine.
Yeah, and they don't kind of just feel the grind of like a press tour and answering the same questions all the time. It's just they're just a good guy. Seems like a very good guy.
And I remember him trying to sell the fuck out of Death Proof, but
yeah,
to no avail.
I bought into Death Proof.
I saw that movie twice in the theater.
So did I. I own it.
I don't know.
I love Death Proof.
Kev, quickly, expectations.
Hoping we get kind of a nasty little genre kind of movie that lives up to what people are talking about.
Basically, yeah. I'm just looking for an experience that, is something. I'm looking to see the monster. I don't want this to be one of these, in the last 5 minutes you see the monster and then that's it. You know what I mean? Whatever it's like.
Yep.
That's not what I'm down for.
Yeah, let's get some gore. Let's get some interesting takes on the tropes of the two genres and see what happens.
Here we go.
Here we go.
And we're back.
We're back.
Kev, did you also watch this on Amazon Prime? We promised we would? Did you?
It was coming up on my Netflix queue, so I got the Blu-ray of it.
Oh.
But after I had watched it, I discovered it was on Amazon Prime. So
Forgot. I watched it on Prime. Did you watch it? It was there special features of any kind?
It pretty bare bones Blu-ray. Yeah.
Barf.
Didn't really not a lot of spec feats on that.
Before we get into the movie, with your initial thoughts, opening shot of this movie, a man getting his throat slit, highly appropriate for what comes next.
True.
Boom.
Just puts you right in.
Right
in the movie.
It's like, but if you're curious to what the speed of this movie is gonna be, here it is.
Yep.
Kev, what do you think about this movie?
This is the worst movie we've ever done for this podcast.
What? First of all, second of all, and first of all, worse than Black Christmas.
Yes.
Worse than
and you know I hated Black Christmas.
Wait. This is the worst movie we've ever done.
I think so.
This was worse than Bamboozled.
Yes.
This was worse than
Bamboozled wasn't bad. We agreed on certain things on Bamboozled.
Worse than The Haunting 63.
Yes. Keep digging. I'm gonna keep saying yes.
Worse than Batman vs Superman.
Well, it's right down there. It's right down there.
You've lost your mind.
It's right down there.
Worse than Warhorse.
Get out of here. Get out of here, you bastard.
I did it. All right, listen. Also, whatever you want to say, I've never seen this movie. I know this is not going to be worse than Zardoz.
We'll find out.
Episode 69. Calling my hits.
Oncoming.
Okay.
But
the worst movie we've ever done. Continue.
But I don't think beyond salvageable. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in the second half is simple ideas to vastly improve this movie.
It may shock you, but I think this is a stupendous movie.
I figured you would.
And I would argue that it's a strange state of Hollywood where this movie has no major release despite having stars and a totally marketable concept, right? And you're going to release this at Halloween and it totally would have sold.
Easily marketable concept. No question about it.
Yeah. Monsters, Western, Kurt Russell, guy from Lost. Let's do this shit.
Richard Jenkins, let's go!
Yeah. Patrick Wilson, let's do this. This comes out against a Conjuring movie. It would have worked.
Yep.
So, wait, how... Okay. Give me some of your thoughts.
All right. Talk about...
Worse than Batman vs. Superman. Continue.
Let me... I have the floor. I'm holding the talking talisman.
Tomahawk.
The talking tomahawk. I have it. It's mine.
And in this movie, Tomahawk say a lot of shit. They talk a lot of shit and they back it up. Go ahead.
This movie, we talked about in the first half, that they claim this is the first draft of the screenplay that was filmed for this movie. It feels like that every step of the way.
I could not disagree with you more.
There's so much shit you can cut out, so much shit you can streamline, so many scenes that don't go anywhere, characters that don't do anything. It has all the tropes of like that first draft, what they call a vomit draft. You just get it out there, but then somehow somebody thought that was good enough to film, and I think is terribly wrong.
When did it go wrong for you?
Pretty early on, I would say with that opening scene. That's good. I like that opening scene.
I'm about to say
It sets the tone. It gives you something creepy. I like it. It works. Then we really start getting into these long bits with Richard Jenkins' character, where the whole punchline is that he's kind of this bumbling old dude, and then like nothing ever kind of comes of that, and these scenes just kind of go on, and they never really tie into anything later, and they're just scenes that just don't do anything in this movie. This movie's very flabby. At 2 hours and 10 minutes, this is a 90-minute movie tops. It's just very flabby. Now, other things. The sets always feel like a set.
What are you talking about? No, it feels like you're outside. Oh, you're talking about inside.
When they're inside, when they're in the saloon, that is like, saloon number A at fucking Malibu Ranch Studios in Malibu, and they didn't do anything to dress it up.
No way.
The town is fucking empty.
Well,
like
population 200.
But there's people in the main street, right? It just feels like they showed up to these stock sets that they have dotting all over LA. There's Melody Ranch Studios, there's the Malibu Ranch, there's a bunch of them. And they just showed up and started shooting. Nobody put any effort into this thing. It always feels like it's just this stock thing, and they just kind of showed up and nobody did anything.
Well, to say they didn't put any effort into it in that sense is not fair, because with a $2 million budget and you got 3 guys who you have to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not. There's an easy explanation for that, right?
But that doesn't mean
if that's true, which I'm not conceding to.
That doesn't mean you film it. It looks terrible. It never feels like a West. Like, look at the Hateful Eight set compared to this.
Yeah, but the Hateful Eight cost like $100 million.
Yeah. And they spent that money.
That's $99 million more than this one.
And it looks so much better. But like, they couldn't even put any effort into this thing.
That's not a fair comparison in terms of budget. You know what I mean?
But in terms of a little vision, you can't just show up to this thing and start shooting it. It's like there's just no character. There's no life to anything in it.
$54 million. So 50 times bigger than this movie.
Okay, and they used that money. They made something out of it. Anyways, all right. So this is where I'm starting to get a little off-putting on it. Then we get into the night scenes. One, there's Day for Night, which looks terrible. Always looks terrible. Always has looked terrible. There's some Day for Night in this. Not all the time. There's Day for Night. Then these other night scenes, you can tell they put up one light, spotlight, real big, pointed it at the actors and said, go. It's the flattest compositions, just like it. And I'm just because I've made this mistake as being an idiot student filmmaker. It's like I'm outside, I got enough juice for one light. I'm gonna put it up, and it looks terrible. And it looks like they have one fucking spotlight they probably bought at Home Depot and just pointed it at them and said, go. Now, another thing. Okay, I'm gonna give couple more points, then I'll let you talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to dominate this whole thing.
I'm not being convinced by this, by the way, and neither are our listeners.
Damn you! I'm gonna say what I have to say.
I'm the people's champion.
The adventure there's no drive and there's no meaning behind anything they do. There's scenes just with characters that just show up and then they're gone, and then they have no bearing on the outcome, anything that happens in the scenes. It's just everything's just kind of there. And it's like
there's very few characters in the movie. I mean, there's less than 10 in the whole thing.
The grifters show up, and like they have these long scenes like where they're setting up traps, and then it never pays off, and it's
traps.
Yeah,
you talking about the bells?
Up like the bells.
Yeah, but that's one. That's literally they show that once.
Yeah, but they sure take a long time showing it. It's just.
That scene is literally 45 seconds long. He's setting up the bells. The guy's like, "What do you?" He's like, "If someone hits this bell, shoot him, and then they talk about it, and then that's the whole thing.
And they talk about it, and it takes forever, and it doesn't have any bearing on the plot, the characters. It doesn't reveal anything. It doesn't do anything.
Kev, when you watch this movie, were you like, did you not eat that day? Did you like, did you buy your cheeseburger and all the meat fell out the bottom?
I was quite happy.
You weren't gripping it. You weren't gripping it right.
I was in a good place when I watched this. I was not in a grumpy mood. I promise.
I think you're in a grumpy. I think
you're
you're in a grumpy mood right now.
I'm getting grumpy just talking about it. You know what? You go ahead. I've been talking too much.
I mean, I really like this movie. I mean, and I like everything about it. I especially like the writing. So even if you hate gore, even if you hate horror, also
so that long scene where Richard Jenkins is talking about reading a book in the bathtub was like completely necessary. Needed to be there.
I would argue it's a flavorful movie, in the sense where you're getting a sense of these people and their thought process. Right? He's a sad, simple guy who never he kind of doesn't know how to think a thing through, right? Which as a horror movie leads you to think that he's going to be killed, right? Because the dumb always gets it, and you know he's just kind of like a simpleton. You know what I mean? And in direct contrast, Jack from Lost, whose character name and actor name Matthew Fox. You know, he's much more like, you know, he's like I don't want to call him a dandy, but he's much more of an educated man or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But he's got his outlaw tendencies.
Yeah. But and so it's like this guy's on the side of good, but he's like talking while they're trying to avoid bandits, and the other guy is just like. And then that scene is hilariously punctuated where the bells go off. Jack does a sit up and shoots, and probably like a coyote or something, which I was very entertained by.
All right.
But here's the thing, I feel like the characters are 3D. I feel like these random scenes or whatever kind of flesh that out, and everyone has their motivation, right? Like, so the sheriff is like, me and the husband guy, played by Patrick Wilson, we gotta go because that's our responsibility, right? And you don't really need more than that, right? And his wife's like, I don't want you to go, but he's like, I gotta go. It's my job, right? And it's kind of like, it seems like that's his trade-off by being a small-town sheriff. It's like, most times you're not really going to get much going on, but when something does happen, it is my responsibility.
Yeah.
Matthew Fox is a little bit more, like, is he just wanting to kill Indians? And then later you find out that his family was killed by Indians, so he's like, he takes a lot of pleasure in killing Indians. And him and the wife had a thing, but it's kind of a misleading thing. I like how that doesn't ever go to any. I like how that doesn't go to anything, because like, I don't want to fuck your wife. I just feel like I should help you. You know what I mean?
See, like this is gonna be part of my lean mean way to improve this movie, which I will elaborate upon.
I just feel like they gave everyone, and then you know the deputy guy has something to lose, so he's just like, I'll just help. And I feel like there's lots of good small and big mysteries. Like I think what you're alluding to is like the mayor comes in and the wife is talking for the husband, and there's one scene with them and then we're gone, and we don't overly linger on it and whatever, and it's just kind of like this goofball thing. And I mean, there's like some farmers we meet, but they don't really matter. You know, it's like,
see, that's just what I feel in this movie. There's so much that just doesn't matter.
Well, the farmers and the other townsfolk matter in the sense that the troglodytes came and took some people and left, right? And took some horses, maybe. They were at the stable. They didn't take any horses, though, right? So that's all that they matter. They're just there to further the plot line. It's any they're not even secondary character, any extra character, right? You know what I mean? What do you call that when you're just like a functional character?
You're just a plot, not a plot point.
Yeah, but that's your point. Is it you
shuttle it along?
Yeah, you're shuttling it along, and I was fine with all of that. And I don't know, I like a lot. There's a lot of. I feel like you're ignoring a lot of the little things in this movie. For example, Patrick Wilson's like, my wife's been taken. He's like, we're gonna meet at the bar to like figure out what to do. So he storms off there with his broken leg. And so Kurt Russell goes over and you know he goes over in a huff. So Kurt Russell calmly goes over, closes the door because he didn't close the front door, and grabs his shoes for him. So it's like the Kurt Russell we've seen is like a total hard ass, but you know that's not all there is to this character. He's not just an asshole. He's like, he has compassion. I like that little scene. It's just that's a nice little extra thing. That, you know, you could have just made him a ripoff of John Wayne, but you know that's already been done.
Yeah, and I don't want just a stock character, but these guys don't feel very fleshed out to me at all. I don't really just get any sense of just any interesting trait as to what these guys can do and what they. I don't want to go on an adventure with these guys.
See, I totally want to go. My criticism of this movie is that I wish there were more dudes. I wish they could afford more dudes to go on the adventure with.
Boy.
And
I completely disagree.
And so the normal trope of a horror movie. This blows my mind that you're saying this because I feel like this movie is very similar to Alien Resurrection. If you remember that movie. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
So in that movie,
another bad movie.
That's a terrible movie, but and you could insert fucking Friday the 13th Part 6, any movie where there's a threat and everyone's dealing with it at the same time. A dumber version of this movie would be everyone's always fighting about nothing. And
don't they do that a lot?
They don't. They have disagreements about.
Did my Blu-ray have a shitty work print on it and not a finished movie? I wonder if that's what I watched.
I do think it's possible. So I feel like there's a scene where Patrick Wilson he hurts his leg. And they're gonna have to set it and give him morphine or whatever, right? And there's a lot of arguing that goes on before that. And Kurt Russell's like, "You can't walk on that leg. You just re-broke it." And he's like, "I'll figure it out." And he's like, "Shut up. No, you're not." You know what I mean? So they reset his leg and they knock him out or whatever. But before he passes out, he's like, "I want to apologize for, getting hot at you. I didn't mean, I know it's not your fault, And I feel like in a bad horror movie, we've seen this scene, right? Fucking, as much as I love it, Nightmare on Elm Street has that one character with a leather jacket where he's like, I'm gonna storm out of here because fuck you guys. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And they don't ever waste that kind of nonsense on small things. So when the guy's overly talking, right, and they're like, can you try not talking? You know what I mean? And so he just shuts up, and there's conflict, but it's like small conflict like that. And then they save that for the big conflict, was when Matthew Fox shoots the Mexican guys, right? Yeah. And that's when they get heat on each other, where it's like, what the fuck? Why'd you do that? It's like, even if they were bandits, we could have interrogated them. And Matthew Fox is like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That's the moment for the conflict, not the, hey, you took my German eyeglass thing without asking. That's not the moment for someone to storm off in a huff. Because it's like, let's be real here, we're out in the middle of nowhere. So I feel like that movie, on that line, more than your average horror movie, really elevated the material, where it's like, we're not going to fight over shit that's inconsequential. We'll argue over shit that's inconsequential, but we won't. No one's going to leave the group over that. You know what I mean? And Patrick Wilson's leg is a big point of contention. His pride demands that he comes, but he really isn't fit to do it.
I mean, he's definitely not fit to do it, but any smart cowboy would leave that cowpoke at home.
Can't do it.
He's going to drag the whole thing. But I can't wait to tell you about my better version of this movie.
Sell me on the better version after I say this. All right. I feel like the movie, though, once we get to the evil cave dwelling...
we haven't even got to the troglodytes.
We have not. Once we got to the cave dwelling, the wife is like, the problem with the West is the stupid men here, right? Because you're all just fucking idiots. And you look at it, it's like, yeah, that's what happened, right? Like, these guys were the bandits in the beginning, kill people, which is like, why are you killing people for no reason to steal from them? And then they go to the Indian burial ground, they fuck it up, and then you know what I mean? Like, everyone's always making mistakes. So it's like, I think the thesis of the movie is that, like, society is at its worst when good people are stupid.
Yeah. True.
So your version of this, everyone just has a hootenanny and everyone just gets along?
Far from it. I'm going to add like 10 times more conflict to this lean, mean version of my movie. All right. First rule of screenwriting. You kill your babies. You kill the thing you love the most, and that'll actually help your story move along.
I don't believe that's the first rule of screenwriting. But continue.
It's a rule. Kurt Russell, gone.
Whoa,
Get rid of his
whoa.
Get rid of Kurt Russell.
Whoa.
Gone.
Whoa.
I expressed my undying love for Kurt Russell in the first part.
So who would be the sheriff?
So you move Richard Jenkins into the sheriff role.
No.
Stay with me here. I'm already not done.
You can leave my office.
Richard Jenkins is the bumbling sheriff who doesn't have to do much in this small town. When he is called upon, when troglodytes kill horses, kill people, take this guy's wife, he can't do anything about it because just doesn't really know how to do anything about it. So you send your only two able-bodied guys. One is Matthew Fox, this racist dude who kind of loves this woman that was taken. And two is the husband who is forced into action because his leg is broken.
But is that
those guys?
But that's the husband is forced in action and his leg is broken.
But his pride is what's motivating him. I'm just like, I have to do it because it's my wife.
As opposed to your version.
Anybody else would leave that guy behind because he's either gonna die on this trip or it's gonna take 10 times longer to get there because his fucking leg's broken. He can't walk. So I think he needs to be forced into action in that he's one of the only people who can go on this trip. Now you have some natural conflict between these two because this is the guy who has the woman and this guy wants the woman, but the guy who has the woman is disabled.
No, wait. Let me stop you right now. Have you seen The Departed? Yes, of course you have.
Of course.
Have you seen Infernal Affairs?
No.
The movie that it's
No.
totally based off of.
It's admittedly based off.
Yeah. The Departed gives you the love triangle. The other one, they're parallel characters with two separate women, and it works way better. And the love triangle is, and when I say this, I mean this with all my heart, the worst trope of Western storytelling that's ever existed.
One of the worst Westerns ever, Appaloosa, has a very bad love triangle in it.
Kev, that movie is terrible.
That movie is terrible.
Because all that movie is that stupid love triangle. And they're like, I love my bros over hoes, lady.
Yeah. I completely agree with you.
Fuck that movie. That movie's the goddamn worst. The love triangle, there's nothing in a love triangle that we haven't seen before. There's no iteration of a love triangle that we have. With a slasher movie, we haven't seen a slasher movie with an airplane. We haven't seen a slasher movie with, in an underwater aquatic park. We haven't seen a slasher movie on the moon, right? We've seen every version of a love triangle there is to do. One where you're on this side, one where you're not on the side, one where they both get her, one where no one gets her, one where it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't get behind that. Right. But continue.
Whatever. Let's say a kid gets taken in place of a fucking woman, so it's not a love of a woman. All right. Anyways, there's natural conflict between these two guys. The broken leg guy has to go, so he has an immediate disability, like John McClane's bare feet, something like that. And then a guy who might not 100% be on his side. Now, we know this dude is like super racist, has issues with people of a different color.
Mm-hmm.
That being called racism. They pick up a Native American to join their party, right? And then it's this. I want more uneasy alliances in this thing, where it's because right now it just feels way too like
that is interesting.
Bro's going on a little adventure, and we talked about lots of stuff, and then maybe we'll get eaten. We'll see. I want just way more of this uneasiness of like at any moment one of these guys could turn on him and kill him. You know, this adventure shouldn't be this happy-go-lucky thing. It should, there's horror in these troglodytes, but there's horror within ourselves too, right? We're capable of bad things. And then now we have this triangle of this very uneasy alliance where if broken leg guy taking one wrong step, it's like they're leaving him in the dust, So then to me it makes more sense that he would try and like fix his own leg or really push through any kind of pain because he knows they're just going to leave him behind if he's just dead weight. And I think you just build in a lot more conflict in that middle section, which is devoid of a lot of conflict in this current version. And it makes that middle section move a lot better. To me. The only thing you said here that I agree with is that I do think it would be interesting to bring in because there's a very interesting character named the Professor, who is clearly a Western educated Indian man, or a Native American man. And he has some of the best lines in the movie. He's like, what do these creatures look like? Like, to a man like you, they'd be no different than me. But I know that they're something else completely entirely. Such a great line. Yeah.
But if that dude went to some natives and was like, hey, a lady got taken, we need some help, and then that native person had to go with them, that would have made this movie better.
Yes.
With Kurt Russell. But because then you have that conflict. Because then you really put Matthew Fox's character in that place where he's going to snap and go crazy. Mm-hmm. And you could have Kurt Russell be like, if you kill this man for any reason, like me, I'm going to kill you. And if you kill me, then this guy's going to kill you. And if you kill him, then this guy's going to kill you.
Then I can buy having Kurt Russell in the gang. Richard Jenkins, he can stay home. And I love Richard Jenkins.
Well, I think they needed, you know, it's the fucking Star Trek id ego super ego thing, right? You got super ego with Matthew Fox, you got id with the Jenkins, and you got Kurt Russell right in the middle. So, I can't imagine it without him because then no one would be talking.
I mean, with the dialogue they're saying,
I love that fucking dialogue, man. It was funny.
It's just goofy.
To me, I like it.
It's like sitcom level funny.
Well,
and that's not very funny.
Sitcom level funny. You haven't watched a sitcom in 45 years. Not since Friends. Let's get back to the movie and talk about some of the pieces of the movie. Do you think this movie has its cake and eats it too? Like, our modern sensibility that Native Americans are not savages, that they're just the native population right there, the first people. And in this movie, they kind of give us that where you have the Western Native and you don't see any normal, real Native Americans, you know, in their traditional sense in this movie. Also, where are we in this movie? Wyoming? Or...
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? We'll give you shit.
Stock Western.
But well, I think that they tell us when they show the town sign, but I don't remember what it is. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The point, so we know that Native Americans aren't savages, because what this guy says, and we don't see any real Native Americans acting anyway. But then we do get a group of indigenous people who are savages, right? So it's kind of like you get your trope of a savage Indian, but you subvert it where it's like. But
even the Indians don't like these people.
Yeah. So I feel like you're like we're gonna play into this trope because how else would we do this? But you know, it's definitely devoid from this. I feel like that's having its cake and eating it too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can't subvert a trope and keep it around. It's like you're still chasing evil, dark people that don't speak your language and live in the hills. You know, it's like
they are painted white though.
They're painted kind of a gray.
Sure, I'll concede to that.
Whatever.
Ashen.
They're the other, you know, and they're out there. Now, it might be a little more interesting. What if you have a band of just all kinds of different dudes there? You got white guys, you got Indians, you got black guys, you know, slaves that maybe ran away, and it's like they're just this ragtag fucking cannibal group that is just beyond all civilization.
Like, did you ever watch Firefly?
No.
They have a space version of this called the Reavers, which is pretty tight.
I've heard that name before, the Reavers. Yeah. So yeah, like, you know, not
that's actually an interesting idea where they like
not in like a
abduct
tokenism way where it's like, oh, we have this guy, this guy, this guy. It's like just this ragtag, nasty fucking group of people, and they're the ones that you're going after.
Well, and let's talk about the Troglodytes. Yes or no? Are they a good villain? Good foil for this thing?
I think part of me wants to say yes, but I have issues with how they portray them. Not in terms of like sensitivity, because like this is a made up thing,
right. There was no Troglodytes ever, nor have there been.
Exactly.
My only problem with them is I wish they were a little bit more supernatural.
See, I want like less supernatural because they're real supernatural now. I think.
Not really. I mean, they
do
function.
They do advanced body modification on themselves in a world that we have established where an infection will kill you. These guys have like bull tusks or horns in their mouths, and they got like things in their throat. That
the thing in the throat, I think it's supposed to be that's just natural, like a whale's blowhole kind of thing. You know what I mean?
What?
I think it's supposed to be because they're monstrous, and they talk about them being inbred and all this stuff. I'm not saying it's a part of inbreeding. I feel like in the world of this movie, they're like a slightly different path of humans. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like what a gorilla is to a man, they are like the other way, right? Okay. Where it's like a man that became a you know what I mean? Like there are like genetically they're like our cousin. Like they grow like that thing in their neck is not. They don't do that. That's just there. Do you know what I'm saying?
All right.
That's like naturally because like when they scream or whatever, it's like all like using that thing and their mouths. You know what I mean? Okay. So I feel my interpretation, and then he cut it out, and it was like an organ.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was just part of their neck. That's part of their biology.
All right.
And I think that the native guy alludes to that. I mean, they in some ways I feel like they telegraph it. In some ways I feel like it's totally obscure. You know what I mean? But I feel like, and then with the guy with the tusks, I feel like maybe that's like a silverback gorilla kind of a thing where he's like the alpha, so he grows out the tusks. You know what I mean? I don't know.
All right. I guess I didn't. Really
They definitely move in a way that is feels supernatural.
Yeah.
But that might be again just trying to play into like your perception of someone who is better than you.
All right.
Also, okay.
I guess I just never got that from this. I felt like they were specifically modifying themselves.
So you think you thought that guy stuffed a pipe in his throat?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I thought it was some kind of, I don't know, I just never got a sense of like this was a naturally evolving critter.
I mean, I definitely think that the throat thing is naturally evolving. The tusks, it's hard to say.
Yeah, but yeah,
And
to me again, it's odd in a world that they specifically established and is a real world. If you got an infection, you were probably dead.
That's true, but a lot of indigenous cultures also like stretch their ears and do all kinds of weird shit. You know, like the in Africa they do the lip discs.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like.
But these guys are putting tusks on their face and stuff like that. But yeah, to me, it's not clear that is that supposed to be they're modifying it or is that a natural just how they evolved.
See, I like that about that, but
All right.
let's talk about my favorite scene in the whole movie, which was
Where the guy gets bifurcated by a bone tomahawk.
no, but we'll get to that scene in a minute. It's the ambush where they find their cave. You know the bad people. And then they sneak up and they put the eyeglass up. Like, do you see anything? Cue 1, 2, 3, rock, arrow, rock, and then all of them go down. I was like, that was amazing. And then that whole battle was awesome. A guy loses his hand, and they're like shooting. You know, it's like, I don't know. I like how
the guy loses his hand and he's just immediately out of the battle, though.
Well, but
that's not very interesting.
Well, but if you lost your hand, you know,
dysentery doesn't set in the second you lose your hand. It's like you can still fight a little bit. Like, get some fighting, you Matthew Fox.
Kev,
he's immediately like indisposed. It's like, I see the light, Lord, and then like they give him one bullet and he doesn't use it.
Kev, what the fuck are you talking about? If you lose your hand, that's a huge traumatic. You go into shock.
All right. In the movie that has tusks growing out of people, yeah, let's be realistic.
If you listen, one of my huge pet peeves with movies, when people no sell things, right? Per wrestling term, no selling it. And in this movie, I think that there's Matthew when they're getting attacked at night after they kill the Mexican dudes, and Matthew Fox gets stabbed. He no sells that stabbing. You know what I mean? Which I don't like. But if you got your hand cut off, that would be a very traumatic thing that would happen.
All right.
It's your hand. It's gone.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
I've
You're gonna
seen
bleed to
Game
death.
of Thrones. Yeah. You lose a hand, it sucks.
Listen. One of my pet, and I'll just say it now. One of my pet peeves in movies is when people get shot by an arrow and they just break off the arrow and keep going. It's like no. Being shot with it's a thing has penetrated your body and stuck in your bone. Your bone's probably broken. You're all cut up. Like, you'd be fucked if you got hit with it. You got shot with an arrow in your arm would be broken and it'd be useless. You know what I mean? So it's like this breaking this shit off and keep going, like Lord of the Rings shit. And Lord of the Rings, you get away with it because it's such a fantastic universe. But like, you know, in a Robin Hood movie, it's like, come on, you'd be fucked up. Do you think the gore? So you didn't like the ambush scene? You didn't like how fast and hard the violence goes?
I think that throughout this whole movie, the editing is not good. It's very choppy. It's not smooth at all. It feels like a movie of a first-time director, of a guy who's never put a movie together before. Just the whole time, I never feel this thing has any flow to it.
I just have to tell you you're wrong.
Whereas Good Night and Good Luck has excellent editing and has great flow.
Hey, listen, you had your opportunity to defend that movie, all right? Don't be talking about
you
Good
liked
Night.
It too.
Don't be talking about Good Night and Good Luck on our Bone Tomahawk time. Do you think the gore goes too far?
No.
Because a guy does get bisected crotchally by a Bone Tomahawk, which, through my minimal exploration of medieval torture, aka one BuzzFeed article, that is the worst way to die. That would be the most painful way to die if to be killed that way.
Because you'd feel it the whole time.
Yeah, you would. They say that that was a form of torture in medieval Europe, where they would cut you in half, starting at your crotch and going down to your belly button, and it would get down to your belly button before you died.
Jesus, I mean it's
yikes.
Yeah, because like some of your most vital organs they're all near the top, right? And that's when you would die. But like, you would feel every inch of that. Yeah. Until you just basically just passed out.
I will say that scene was interesting because they seemed to. The guy's naked. He's splayed. They cut him open. All of his guts fall out, right? So like they're not holding back anything, but there's very minimal. They put that least amount of blood that they could into that,
and the scene is very dark. Just
yeah.
lighting wise,
Right.
it's hard.
Which I think is probably for the best.
Yeah,
Because it's
Right.
like I was like, listen, I want to see that level of violence, but like
But
I
we
don't want to see it like too much. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. You know,
Right. But then afterwards, there's very little blood in the sand, and I'm like, that would just be a big bloody mess.
yeah,
you know?
that would be cutting open a horse and just all the blood and the gore is just right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, it's a very, and again, that's another scene to me that just doesn't flow at all because the editing is bizarre. It's just making weird cuts throughout this whole thing, and I think it really gets rid of the tension in the scene.
I think one day you're gonna watch this movie on a plane, and you're gonna be like, I was wrong about this.
It's gonna be the weirdest plane flight in the world.
It's gonna be when you go to Australia for the second time. The second time. So I assume, based on your opinion on this movie, that you probably didn't like the ending.
I mean, they kind of all just walk off, you know.
And I do feel that emotionally, I was rooting for someone to live because I consciously wrote down
somebody. What good is it if everybody dies? You know, somebody's got to walk out of this.
Well, but I mean that could mean like Reservoir Dogs or something. You know what I mean? Like if you're talking about
the
futility of life, or
but that's Reservoir Dogs. This is like we can't just go through like we live in the soul crushing West. These people are crazy and they kill us all.
I mean,
what
I
do
think
we learn from that.
I think there is a version of this movie that absolutely could have done that, but they chose not to. I do like how some of them. I do like how someone survived, but they all walk off, and I feel like they hear 3 gunshots in the distance, and then that's it. And it's like I'm not really supposed to. I don't really understand what that's supposed to mean.
And Patrick Wilson walking off on the wrong leg, by the way.
They might have reversed the shot.
Yeah, fuck them.
I did not notice that. But
it's like, come on, that's
you could have saved it for nitpicks, but you decided not to.
That's to me, it's just a whole amateurism that floats over this movie. It feels amateurishly made.
Yeah, I think we just saw 2 different movies.
Maybe, man.
I think you watched Gallows Walkers.
Maybe I did.
Was Wesley Snipes in your movie?
Oh my God, he was.
Oh no.
No.
All right. Do you have any cool things that you would like to lay, or nitpicks that you like to lay on the movie before we get to cool things?
The one gag I did like was the gag with the piano player.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a dime. I recognize the sound of Lady Liberty.
Yep.
Good stuff. I have one nitpick, which was other than the things I previously said, but when after Jack gets stabbed, his shirt has blood on it. That blood should turn brown after a couple hours, and it shouldn't just be red. And so it stays red. And it's just like,
it's pretty wet and red the whole time.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't need to be the same thing, but whatever. Also, his hair is perfect after like 4 or 5 days in the middle of nowhere. It's like, you brought out the comb and the paraffin wax for this shit. Like, okay.
Nitpick, the whole like shoving his flask into his open cavity thing. Like,
oh, I love that.
Why is that an effective form of torture as opposed to just splitting somebody open? It's
a symbolic thing. It's like your drink poisoned us, so that we're gonna stick a hot one in your belly.
Okay,
the torture in this movie is very medieval.
Oh yeah, I mean
very medieval.
Yeah, I completely agree, and you don't get that level in a lot of films, but to me, it's just never done with any purpose or effectivity.
Yeah, I just don't. I was fine this movie up like ice cream. Is that all for your nitpicks? You have more nitpicks.
You cast somebody as funny as Fred Melamed and you give him nothing to do.
Who is that?
He's the bartender in this movie. Dude is.
He's
on Lady Dynamite, the new Netflix show. He's in A Serious Man, the Coen Brothers movie. That dude is a funny motherfucker, and they give him nothing to do.
You never know. You never know what the. You never know why these people are in this movie. You know what I mean? It could have been someone's friend. Could have been.
Could have incriminating photos. I don't know.
You don't know. You just don't know.
I'm just saying he's brilliant, and he got nothing to do, except deliver like stock bar lines. Same with Sid Haig. You have Sid Haig.
Oh no!
One scene.
They use Sid Haig well. Sid Haig.
He gets one scene.
His burial grounds for hostile savages, not a civilized man. He scratches his dick with the gun.
All right.
Come on.
I'll give you that.
Sid Haig. Also, Sid Haig ain't mad at this money that he got from this movie.
Hey, nobody should be. Hope they got money for this movie.
I mean-
1.8 million. That's somebody's taking a pay cut.
Potentially. Who knows how it did in Europe, though? Anything else?
That's it for nitpicks.
I like the flavorful dialogue throughout the whole movie when Patrick Wilson is like, "You're more beautiful than most cows," and then she's like, "Most?" And he's like, "You never saw Jessica."
That's a sitcom line.
That's not a sitcom.
That is a
line.
sitcom.
What sitcom is about
Yes.
cows that you watch?
You know, The Ranch on
Get
Netflix.
Get out of here. You deserve The Ranch.
I don't watch The Ranch.
And then the town's name is Bright Hope. I like that. In this world, that's hilarious.
All right.
That is hilarious.
That was probably the sign that was at the ranch set that they went to.
So, do you think that the throat flute thing works?
I mean, I was more confused by it than even like to me is I don't know if they were putting that in there, if it was just grown in them.
Well, he pulled out all the veins from it and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, they were telling you what was going on.
I don't know. It just didn't register with me.
Why do you think it's called Bone Tomahawk?
I think it's one of those what I like to call like a tone title.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of sets a mood. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Kind of like Minority Report. The Minority Report
is a thing in the movie.
It's a thing in the movie, but it's not like the movie, you know? But you can't really separate the two is the thing. It's just kind of one of those, you know, Bone Tomahawk. Those are two just big, strong words.
Yeah.
There, and it sets a tone of like death and Western just kind of all in one.
Kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like if you substituted any of those words, it wouldn't be the same thing. So if it was Delaware Chainsaw Massacre, it's not the same thing. You know, it's like
it's got to have that X in Texas.
Yeah, like if it's not Texas, if you know what I mean, it just doesn't. It's just there's something about Texas where it's like, nah, Texas is fucked up.
Yeah,
you know?
you get hot desert, cactus, southern. It just
Angry.
All these words built right into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think and I do think that's a good title, Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, I do like
strong.
it. I do. I like the title.
I remember first hearing about it. I'm like, ooh, interesting. I want to see that.
Also, when Kurt Russell got the tomahawk stuffed into his mouth, did you think he was going to be killed?
I thought so.
Yeah.
So it's pretty gnarly.
And he let them do it.
Wow.
Gross.
Attaboy.
That thing better have been like a really big a really big jawbreaker that they painted white.
Yeah.
You know. Like, I'm not putting no fucking real bone in my mouth.
Yep.
I also like just a little last thing I want to say is I like the little detail where like the arrow from them is like a skull of a bird. It's like that's the tip.
That's cool.
That's fucking cool, man. Come on.
The production design of them is cool, but I feel they blew all of that, like all their budget to production design on them, because everything else feels very stock and very dull.
Those masks probably cost a lot, but I mean those dudes are just dudes in loincloths with ash all over them.
They got like the whole graveyard set. They've got
that rock budget was out of control.
the like pregnant naked troglodytes as they walk in.
Oh, that was so disturbing. They have like sticks in their eyes.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up. In the end, you don't like this movie and it doesn't work.
Very much correct on both of those.
And I, on the other hand, am thinking that it's great, and I'm sad it wasn't a big movie. And I like this movie, and I wish more horror westerns were made. I feel like the horror and the western.
I think it's a genre that absolutely could work together. You know, I think you can combine horror in all kinds of interesting ways, but horror and western seems like two peas in a pod. Where living in the West was shitty.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shitty life, and there was nasty things out there, and you could have really run with it and really do something interesting. I don't think they pulled it off in this. You think they did? That's fine.
Sequel pitch. You gave your remake pitch.
Yep. I got
My
remake.
sequel pitch is they get back to the town or they go to a different town. It doesn't really matter. And you have a new group of people and the troglodytes attack the town. And there's much more troglodytes. Perhaps some sort of 10-foot tall giant creature. You know, perhaps with a wolf's head. I don't know. Depends on the budget. And that's their god.
Just like some big motherfucking troglodyte, like Mountain on Game of Thrones size troglodyte.
I would like that.
It's just their dude.
I would like that.
He's like an unstoppable force. That'd be cool. Clarify. Are they growing those tusks or are they putting them in? I need to know because it's very confusing.
I want to say that it grew, but
I want to hear it.
But it's tough to know. It's tough to know. Maybe if do you return that disc yet?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you should reorder.
That was one of those pop it out of the player, put it in, seal that envelope. I'm like, I am.
Maybe
not
you
watching
should.
This again.
Maybe you should get the disc back and listen to that commentary track. Also, was your opinion of the movie affected at all by your girlfriend coming in and obviously not liking it?
No, because I watch plenty of movies that I like that she doesn't like. But she only saw the second half. She's like, ew, this movie's.
That's the worst half. If you're gonna see
the worst half to walk in on.
Yeah, for sure. That's it for us. This episode written by Kev, music by Jeff Russell. I am your host. Kev is your host. Thank you for listening to Jibber Jabber. Mr. Jibber Jabber here. Signing off. Better a poke in the balls with a sharp tomahawk than watching Bone Tomahawk for Kev?
Yeah, for me. But I hope listening to this podcast for you.
Until next time, don't forget to eat your meat.